Yo, it's Captain. We're back to holding the phone. I try I tried to put it on the light and it worked. It actually worked. I had a holder, but then my lighting was screwed up and it made me look blown out, and I am already pasty. I do not need to look more pasty. So I'm back to holding the phone. We played some Last Epoch today, and it was a good time. I went Primalist, finally got past level 10, got to see like there's like cool stuff. There's like a kind of a major boss, and you get to like change timelines, and it's like, oh, this is where all the cool shit is. And I can't believe we did 5 characters and didn't never did that because I just hadn't seen it before. Uh but we got there and it was cool. It was cool we had a different setting because we were talking about how like ARPGs, it starts with the top down Diablo style ARPGs because the genre's bigger now. But like it started with this gothic, everybody's dying, we're fighting the minions of hell and the butcher's chopping everybody to pieces. It's very dark. And that's, way back in the beginning. And now if you talk about today, you know, the big everybody's favorite ARPG is PoE. And PoE is also dark and gritty because it was supposed to be like it was like a reaction to Diablo 3, and people anticipated Diablo 3 that was too bright and too rainbows. I would argue that it wasn't nearly as much that as people thought, and I actually liked the aesthetic of Diablo 3. It did have scary bits, but yeah, it wasn't like it had the scary bits in like the butcher pits, but it didn't have like this whole everything's dark all the time, it's scary kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, like Diablo 2 had like Luke Goleen and stuff. I mean, it wasn't. Anyways, I feel like D3 got a little bit of a bad rap for that, but it still was different, right? It was a little bit nicer feel, in a lot of areas, and it didn't feel like D2. And so PoE is made in that, as a reaction to that. It's like, well, we're gonna have it gritty and dark and stuff. So you have, and it's gritty and dark. And if you've seen the PoE 2 stuff coming out, like the character select is you fucking you're on the gallows, and the character you pick is the one that escapes and everybody else gets hanged, right? And then you got to go fight the executioner later, and it starts off where he's chopping the head off some guy. Like it's hardcore. So you kind of have the beginning and the current, and they're both like this grimdark thing. And we've had like a lot of ARPGs in between. We've had a lot of ARPGs in between, but I think in people's minds, like ARPG is Diablo, is that dark kind of like, one lone hero against the forces of hell, and he doesn't come out unscathed, right? By the end of it, he shoves the damn thing in his forehead because he's been affected by the 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 dark heavy fight. Uh, and so I don't know. It just came up because we were playing Last Epoch, and we finally get to like change the timeline, and everything's purple and gooey, right? And it's kind of edgy. Like more people are getting eaten by worms and stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's some stuff here, but for the most part it presents like, nicer. It's much more colorful. It's not you're not fighting demons, you're fighting like fantasy creatures. um I mean, you can argue that the demons are fantasy. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean, like happy fantasy, like elf fantasy, that kind of fantasy. And so now we've still got this darkness because you expect it, but it's different. It's purple and goo. And I just thought it was really interesting and like fresh to be, oh, we can get a different perspective. I wonder what the setting of this game will be like, because it's got, um it could go timelines. I heard you get like dinosaurs and stuff. And I thought this would actually be kind of fresh to have um, a setting that isn't, isn't the typical gothic, we're all dying kind of thing. It has this, but it had this post apocalyptic deal at the end. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what we do with it. I love ARPGs in any format, and they've all had these different ones. But I thought it was interesting how it was just like that thematic feel is almost tied to the genre. And I don't know if that happens in other genres. It's like, I guess like Souls likes have that too, because right, Dark Souls is this grim dark kind of thing. And so people want to make a Souls like game, and they're gonna have that in there. Have we seen too many? Another Crab's Treasure, which beat the shit out of me. Um, It was very bright and colorful, but it's supposed to be a Souls like. I think as the genre expands, we'll see more of it. I mean, Sekiro isn't, well, it's not bright and happy, that's for sure. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to, I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I also wanted to talk about the appeal of ARPGs in general, because we were talking about the history of these ARPGs and where the settings came from. And it came up, well, like, why do we even like these games? What's the appeal? And I don't know, I had a little trouble explaining it because I love them so much. And I feel like you see a lot of newer genres that are influenced by them. And so you see like the roguelikes. And it's funny because like apparently Diablo was inspired by the original Rogue with the procedural generation, and like we want to just make it, I don't know if we want to make it faster or more graphical. I don't know what the goal was, but and now we see roguelikes, which are all about distilling things into like play sessions. So instead of like a whole season of leveling up, you have just like a session of leveling up. It's like 20 levels, or it's like 20 minutes, and you just, get the whole leveling experience, get it all in there. But the appeal, it's like, what is the appeal? And it's like, well, you get the leveling, you get the loot games, you get the build craft. Like it's all there. I feel like those things are in different places now, but it's just, I don't know. I had trouble. I don't know. I had trouble expressing it. It's like what do you tell someone who's never played an ARPG? Like what makes them compelling? It's like I have answers for that for like Manhunt and stuff. It's like, well, you fight the monster, and then you can fight bigger monsters. And it's like, well, these Diablo style ARPGs, it's like, well, you fight a horde of monsters, and then you fight more hordes of monsters. You get the grind, and then the grind gives you weapons, and you never know what's going to drop because it's randomized. But so we're kind of the fights, so we're kind of the levels, so it's fresh every time, like a roguelike, and you're constantly getting new loot, so it's a loot game, and you're wanting to know what happens, and then it's like a build game because you're constantly getting levels and you're putting points into things, and you're just customizing your playstyle. And then a cool axe drops, you're like, oh my god, what if I made an axe build? And then a legendary foot drops, and the thing says, would you shoot fireballs? Like the fireballs turn into more fireballs. And then it's like your pet sheep can all of a sudden do static discharge. You're just like, whoa, that blows my mind. I'm gonna like build around sheep fireballs now. They don't let me design. They don't let me design the games. But static discharge on sheep. All right, look, It worked for Pokemon. But right, so it's like you just get this constant excitement of like what your potential and what you can do, and you're just constantly thinking of new things to do, constantly thinking of ways to tweak your build and make it better, which is all the great things about Buildcraft. And then it ties into the loot drops because you never know what your loot's going to get and how that's going to help you make new builds or refine your build. And it ties into the grind because you kind of like never know what it's going to look like the second time through. And then it's just like these packs, and you're just mowing down hordes of monsters. So it's like, what's like if you like, Warriors games, like Musu games, if you like, which is the grind games, it's like if you like loot drop games, if you like, roguelikes, but want them to last longer. I don't know. It's just it's got like a power fantasy. It is an action game and an RPG. It's, do you like action games, but do you want to customize your action through gearing, and then you want to get into your stat sheets and stuff with your builds, because that's the RPG part and that's the fusion. It's like an RPG but more accessible. Uh right, cuz more immediate with action, which now we have games that are even more like that. So I don't know. It's just got that beautiful blend of things that you love, that you just get into and you can just zone into it and play it forever. I don't know. I feel like we've waffled a little bit. We probably could have like had two videos there, but uh, that's kind of the stuff we did while playing Last Epoch today. That's what it made me think of. I'm excited to play more. I'm enjoying the purple goo post-apocalypse and hitting things with my big Primalist boy. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? What makes the ARPGs appealing? There you go. It's a YouTube video, right? We have to have a call to make a comment. I don't know. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I hope this recorded properly because I'm still just holding it with my arms, and maybe we'll find something better. But that's all I had for today. Have a good one.